So today we're focusing on our legs, on our lower body, really just bringing some strength and some flexibility in through the hips down to the ankles. Really important in terms of staying mobile and agile, things like climbing stairs, getting up from chairs, those sorts of things that we do every day. So the sort of more strong and flexible our lower body. Each of those types of activities will be as we age as well. So let's come into our Pilates stance. Feet are hip distance apart. Nice soft bend in the knee. Bringing the spine long now, so reaching the head towards the ceiling. So imagining that helium balloon pulling your head up towards the sky. Imagining a tennis ball between your chin and your chest, so your head is floating up on top of your spine. Shoulders are back and down. So starting now to just find our neutral pelvis, so demonstrating here from the side. So imagining that bowl of water, we're going to spill the water out the front, so flattening through the lower back, bringing the pelvis forward, so tilting that tailbone under, tilting the water out the bottom of the back. So let's just bring that pelvis forward, through to center, taking it, tilting it up towards the ceiling. Let's come back to center. Let's do that one more time. Coming to rest now in that neutral position. Bringing the arms down by the side. Inhaling now through the nose. Feel the rib cage expand. Really fill the lungs up with oxygen. Exhale. Let's blow gently through that straw. Slow, full exhale. Inhaling again through the nose. Exhale, really emptying the lungs, pushing out every last breath. Inhale. So now as we exhale, starting to activate our core, so pulling the tummy button in towards the spine. Inhale. Exhale, let's do that again. So starting with that core connection, so pulling that tummy button in. Inhale, and as we release that, we want to kind of maintain about a third of the full contraction. Exhale, so that's the amount of engagement we want to try to maintain within our core throughout today's session. So just finding a foundation in the big toe, little toe and heel. I'm just going to start with some shoulder shrugs. So inhaling here, exhale, let's pull those shoulders up towards the ceiling. Inhale, bringing it down, really pushing the shoulder blades down towards the floor, so really activating through the shoulder girdle here. Exhale up. Inhale, bring it down, keeping that length through the spine. So remembering that balloon pulling us up towards the ceiling. Inhale, bring it down. Let's do one more. Try bring the shoulders up a little bit higher this time. Inhale, bringing it down. So leaving the arms relaxed by the side. We're just going to begin by peeling one heel off the floor. So coming up onto the ball of the foot. Inhale, bring it down. Taking it now onto the other side. So just moving the leg in that single plane of motion, taking the knee over the ankle. Inhale, back to center. Imagining those headlights on the hip bone, so keeping the hips facing forward. So we just want to mobilize here from the hip, the knee and the ankle. Let's take it over the other way. If you want to now, you can add alternate arms, so bringing the arm up now to the shoulder. So working a little bit more into the core here to keep everything nice and stable. Exhale. Inhale it down again. Let's take it onto the other side. Do one more of those now on each side. Exhale, floating the arm up to the shoulder. Exhale, let's take it up the other way. If you're happy there, you can stay there. Otherwise, we're just going to bring it up a level. We're going to alternate the feet, so crossing the feet mid-flow. So we've got a little bit more to think about now in terms of controlling the hips. So we still want the hips to stay level. So if you want to get that feedback, you can place the hand on the hips. And if you're comfortable here, you can add the arms again. We're just always thinking about what the hips are doing. If you find it's difficult to control the hips, keep them level, then by all means bring the hands back onto the hips. Exhale. Inhale as we cross, exhale as we lift. Keeping that abdominal engagement, keeping the length through the spine. Let's do one more of those each side. Gently bringing it now back to center, just finding that foundation again within the feet. Give the shoulders a bit of a roll around if you need to. So we're just gently now going to shift the weight onto one foot. So just find the pressure on those 3 points of the foot. Hands can be on the hips. They can be out to the front or the side, wherever you need to balance. We're going to take one knee up now to hip height. So I demonstrate to you from the side. So keeping that neutral pelvis, tailbone tucked under, bringing the knee now up to hip height, pointing the toe. Inhale, bring it down. Taking it now onto the other side. So we're shifting the weight from side to side. So working here on our balance, strength through that supporting leg and flexibility through the moving hip. So quite a lot going on here with this movement. So it's easier to place the hands on the hips. By all means do so. Find a point to focus on. Trying to maintain your balance. Bring it back to center. Let's do one more of those each side, really controlling that transition from left to right. So the transition between movements, the end of a movement, is still part of the movement. So we still need to give it the same attention. Still need to keep that precision. Bring it back to center. If you're happy with that level, then you can stay there. Otherwise, we're going to take one arm overhead as we lift one leg. So going into our toy soldier, pointing that toe towards the floor. Bring it back to center. Exhale, take it over to the other side. Find that point of focus. If it's too much, you can keep the toe in contact with the floor. So we're still finding the balance on that supporting leg, still bringing a degree of flexion into the hip. Otherwise, we're bringing it right up to hip height. Bring it back to center. Exhale over the other way. So you'll notice how your core engagement is important here, helping keep us upright. Keep us in that single plane from falling backwards and forwards. Bring it back up to hip height, back to center. Let's take it over the other way one last time. And if you want to here, you can add a little bit of a rotation. So taking the arm and leg in and out, bring it back to center. Up to the other side, let's take it out to the side, back towards the body, bring it back to center. So just working at the level that you're comfortable with, where you feel challenged and that you're achieving something without feeling discomfort or pain or obviously falling over. We don't want that. Let's bring it back the other way. Hip, knee up to hip height. Let's rotate it. Bring it back to center, gently lower it down. One more on the opposite side. Bring that knee to the chest, lengthening through the arm. Rotate it out. Back to center, over the other way. Bring it now gently back to center. Just give your legs a little bit of a shake. Roll the ankle around if you need to. You're just coming back now to that neutral position. So we're going to work a little bit more now into our circumduction within the hip. So starting with a deflection, taking it round and working more into our glutes here in extension. So hands can be on the hip again, just find that neutral pelvis. And I want to imagine that you're in the middle of a clock face. So inhale to prepare, take one leg forward as we exhale. And we're going to take the toe round from 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 9, 8, 7, 6. So taking it through that semicircle, inhaling here, exhale, we're going to take it back to 12 o'clock. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Going to do 2 more of those. So let's inhale here, keeping long through the spine. That's 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Finding your balance here, squeezing that bum. Let's take it back through 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. One more of those. When we get to the back, we're going to add a little bit of flexion. So inhale, exhale for 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. We're going to swing that leg behind the opposite leg. Let's flex over, so taking one arm overhead, feeling that stretch down the outside of the waist. Just inhale it here, just enjoy that stretch. A little stretch through the hamstring as well at the back. Gently bring that down. Bring the legs back together. We're going to do it on the other side now. So find those 3 points of contact. Taking the leg forward, so working with our right leg this time. Hands are on the hip. So starting at 12, let's take it round for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale here, let's take it back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 12. 2 more of those. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So last time taking it backwards, we're going to add our flexion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's take that leg behind the opposite leg. Legs are straight, taking that arm overhead now. So feeling that stretch down the opposite side. Just take a couple of breaths here. Still nice and long through the spine, so really lengthening through the side of the body. Take a couple of breaths here. Gently lower the arm. Unravel the legs, coming back again into our neutral position. Going to take the legs a little bit further than hip distance this time. So just to a point where you've still got that control. Legs are rotated outwards. Again, finding that neutral pelvis, so tucking the pelvis under, arching through the lower back, just coming to rest in that middle position. Hands can be on the hips again, or they can be in front of you in a prayer position. So your thumbs are against your breastbone. Inhaling here, as we exhale, just going to start to gently bend through the knee. As we exhale, inhale, let's bring it back up. Exhale, taking it down. Bringing it back up again, keeping those abdominals active. So just moving upwards and downwards in that single plane. The movement here is coming from the knee and the hip. So we don't want to deviate forwards or backwards. Let's take it down as we exhale, gently bringing it back up. So we're going to do that again, but we're going to do it in stages. So gradually sort of lowering down into that squat. We might get a little bit deeper with this one. So let's inhale. To exhale, let's take it down for 1. Inhale, exhale, take it down a little bit more, keeping that neutral pelvis. Exhale, take it down a little bit further. Inhale, gently bring it smoothly back up to the top. Inhale, let's do that again. That's 1. Inhaling here, let's take it down a little bit more. So working really deeply here into our hip flexors. So really good for helping you sort of get up and down off chairs or off the floor. Inhale, back to center. Let's do 1 more of those. Exhale. Keeping that spine long, so imagining that balloon pulling us up towards the ceiling. Take it down 1 more. We're going to hold it here. If it's too much, you can come back up to top. Otherwise, we're going to pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, bring it back up. Well done. That was a bit of a tough one. Give your legs a shake. You'll thank me for it when you've got nice, lean, strong legs. Let's rotate 1 foot out now. So we want 1 foot at parallel with the side of the mat. The other foot's going to turn forwards, so they're almost at right angles to each other. So let's rotate now towards the outturned leg. Arms can be on the hips again, otherwise they're coming long, 1 in front, 1 behind. So almost into a warrior position. So inhaling here, exhale, let's take that front knee over the toes. Feeling that stretch through the back leg, keeping the heel pushed down. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, taking it down again. Inhale, bring it up. Let's do 2 more. Exhale. So keeping the abdominals active as always. Pelvic floor is working. Keeping the upper body upright. Inhaling here. As we exhale, we're going to take the arms around, almost as if you're hugging a big beach ball. So flexing down the side of the body again, working deeper into that supporting leg. Inhale, back to center. Let's do that again. So exhale. Inhaling it back. Exhale. So really stretching through the length of the arms, reaching to opposite ends of the room. Exhale, taking that knee a little bit further over now if you can, keeping heels pressed into the floor. Last one, let's take it over. Add the flexion if you want to. Just feel that flexion in the spine, feel that stretch down the side of the body. Inhale, back to center. Let's turn the feet the opposite way. So our back foot is now pointing forward. Our front foot is out to the side, so into that right angle position. Heels are pushed into the floor. Hands are now coming out the opposite way. Inhale here. Exhale, let's take the knee over the toes. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, take it down again. So try and get a little bit deeper with each lunge if you can. Exhale. Inhale it back. So working those spine extensors, keep us upright. Exhale, let's take the arms over. We're hugging that big beach ball. One over the top, one underneath. Inhale, back to center. Let's do 4 more of those. Exhale. Inhale it back. So really using that breath to support the movement. Try to make the breath and the movement work together. Exhale. Inhale it back. Last one. Let's take the arm overhead if you want to join me. Inhale, back to center, turning the feet back together, just walking the feet back together. Give yourself a little bit of a shake. Just relax the knees and the hips for a moment. So we're going to do one more position in standing. So working still on our balance. So we want to take one leg forward and one behind. So going into our split squat, or split position. And we want the feet still to be parallel, so they're still hip distance apart. They're just a little bit separated forwards and backwards, keeping the heels pushed out towards the mat. Hands again can be on the hips or out to the side. Inhale as we exhale, we're going to take the front knee over the toes. Inhale back to center. So keeping the pelvis pushed under, turned under. Spine extensors are active, keeping the length through the spine as well. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, let's take it down. Coming now up to center. I'm going to bend that back knee. So just imagine that you're perching on the edge of a chair. So just working quite deeply into the hip flexors of the supporting leg. Inhale, back to center. Bring the feet together. We're going to take it over the opposite side. So find your starting position. Come into that neutral pelvis. Abdominals are active, pulling up towards the ceiling. Let's take the knees over the toes. Exhale. Inhale it back. Exhale. Keeping that back heel pushed down towards the floor. So keeping that length through the hamstring and through the backs of the calves. Exhale. Let's do one more forward. Try and get a little bit deeper with this one. Inhale back to center. Going to sit now onto that back leg. Just coming into a little perch position. So straightening through that front leg. Gently bringing it back to center. Well done. Bring it now back to the middle. We're going to now transition onto the floor, but as we did, I think it was on Sunday, try and get down to the floor without using the hands. So really challenging the core, using the strength within the leg, working with our balance here as well. So it could be that you go into kneeling and then seated, or just coming straight down into a seated position. So let's give it a go. Right. So we're going to come into a seated position. Our legs are long in front. So just finding the sit bones in the bottom of the pelvis. Seated nice and upright, so pulling that head up towards the ceiling, find that length through the spine. Pelvis again is in neutral. Hands can be on your knees, they can be by the side for support if you want to. We're going to flex the feet, so already we're activating through the length of the back of the leg. Inhaling here as we exhale, just going to lift one leg ever so lightly off the floor. So very, very subtle movement. Inhale it back down. Exhale. So quite a lot of work going on here in the hip to lift the whole length of the leg. Quite a big lever for it to work with. Exhale, let's lift that foot. Inhale it down. Exhale. Remembering the spine, keeping that length throughout, so the core is working really hard. Supporting with that lifting of the leg, but also working to keep us upright. Exhale, let's take it the other way. Gently bring it down. We're going to do the same again. If that was enough for you, you can stick with that. Otherwise, we're going to take the leg up, out to the side, down and back to center. So let's start with our right leg. Inhale, exhale as we lift, taking out to the side, keeping the hips level. Inhale, back to center. Inhale, exhale, take it out to the side. Inhale, back to center. So here the movement is about strengthening through the hip and through the leg. Also working with our pelvic stability. So if you find that your pelvis is doing this, just don't take the leg out quite so far. Just find that sort of sweet point where you can control it and bring it back. Inhale. One more on each side. Keeping flex through that foot, keeping that length through the back of the leg. Bring it back to center. Just bringing the soles of the feet together now, just giving the hip flexors a little bit of a rest. Just breathing here. You can give the legs a little bit of bounce as well if you want to. Just allow the legs to relax and recuperate for a moment. Okay, we're going to bring the legs long again, but take them a little bit wider this time, so they're just wider than hip distance. If you find it's difficult to straighten your leg, you can put a little cushion or something behind you just to give you a little bit of a boost. So we're going to flex the feet again. So just really bringing that length through the legs, leaving the legs working, although they're going to be in a static position. So we're still on the bottom of our pelvis, lifted up through the spine. We're going to take the arms to shoulder height here. So we're going to do a movement called soar. So this works on our pelvic control, strengthening through the legs, and also on our rotation within our spine. So inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to take one hand over towards the little toe on the opposite foot. So just go as far as you can. You can feel that stretch through the leg. You can feel that the spine is rotated. And we're going to exhale for 3. So imagine soaring off your little toe. Exhale for 2, 3. Bring it back to center. Let's take it the other way. Exhale, that's 1, 2, 3. So the backhand here, as we rotate, is actually rotating away from you as well. So that back arm is working. Exhale. Keeping the pelvis pushed down towards the floor as we come forward. Exhale. Soaring off that little toe. If you can't make it as far as the toe, that's fine. Just come as far as you can feel that something is working. And the more you do it, the more flexibility you'll get within your hips, within your hamstrings. And you'll get there eventually. Let's bring it back to center. Let's do one more each side. 3 on that side. Lengthening through the spine as we come up. Exhale for 1, 2, 3. Bring it back to center. Gently lower those arms down. Bring the legs together. It's coming back into our butterfly stretch, just loosening out through the hips. Just taking a few breaths here. Moving now onto all fours. So if you want to add some additional padding to the knees, then you can do. We'll have a couple of little rests in between just to take some of the pressure off the wrists as well. So coming into all fours. So we want a nice straight line from the shoulder down to the elbow. The hips and the knees and the ankles are in a right angle position. So let's just start by pushing our spine up towards the ceiling. So really arching through the spine, tilting our pelvis under, pushing away as well through the hands. So remembering that candle. We don't want to get burned by that. So let's drop the tummy down towards the floor. So now coming into that arch position within the lower back, let's take it back up towards the ceiling again. We're just mobilizing through the spine here, strengthening through the pelvis and the shoulders. Exhale, drop the tummy down. So coming to rest now in that midway point. So imagining that glass of water on the small of your back. We want to try to keep the hips in that stable position. So keeping strong through the shoulders here. If you need to sit back on your heels at any point, then do so. Just join us again when you're ready. So we're going to start just by sliding one leg backwards. So exhale, let's take it long. So imagining that it's on a rail, so we can just move backwards and forwards. Inhale, let's bring it back to center. Exhale. So using the glutes here in the bum to assist with that movement. So the stronger our glute muscles are, the more support it gives to our lower back and to our hips. Bring it back to center. Let's do one more. So if you want to stay here, you can stay here. Otherwise, we're going to take the leg up in line with the hip. So no further than the hip. We just want to keep that nice alignment from the shoulder down to the toe. Bring it back to center. Exhale. Really lengthening through the toe here. Feel that length through the back of the leg. Inhale. Let's do two more and we'll swap over to the other side. Inhale it back to center. Abdominals are drawn in here and the pelvic floor is active. So keeping everything else working, although the leg is the only thing moving. Coming back to center. You want to sit back on the heels for a moment, you can do. I'm going to come and transition over to the other side. So same movement on the opposite leg. So let's start just keeping that connection with the mat. Inhaling here, exhale, let's take the leg behind us. So shifting that weight onto the supporting leg. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, taking it long. Inhale. Always remembering to be active through the shoulders. So if you feel that your chest has dropped towards the floor, just push away from the mat. Bring that stability back to the shoulders. Let's take it back one more time. If you're happy there, you can stay there. Otherwise, the leg is coming up in line with the hip, really lengthening through the toes. Inhale. Exhale, let's take it back. So taking the leg just to a point where the pelvis can stay stable, so we're not spilling any of that glass of water. Exhale. Let's take it back one more time, lengthening now through the back of the leg. Bring it back to center, come sit back on the heel. Just give the wrists a little bit of a roll around. So if you're finding it too much on the wrist, you can do the next movements on your elbows. Otherwise, we're coming back onto the wrists again. Inhale, we're going to take the leg in line with our hip here. And we're going to draw just very small circles with the toe. So keeping length through the back of the leg. And we want to keep the pelvis stable. So if you do larger circles, you may find your pelvis starts to shift. So just keep the circles slow and controlled. Feel that movement being led by the glutes here through the bum. So just a really small movement, but lots going on. Let's take it round the other way. So drawing small circles with the toe. If you want to do this on your elbows, you can do. You'll still get the same benefits. It just takes a little bit of pressure off the shoulders and off the wrists. Let's do one more. Gently bring that knee back down to center, shifting the weight onto that opposite leg. Take the opposite leg along now, so feeling that length through the leg. Let's start to circle. Very, very small movements, keeping control within the pelvis. Just working through that circumduction within the hip. Let's do two more, taking it now round the opposite direction. So exhale on the effort, inhale to come back. Let's do 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently lower it back down. Coming back onto the heels. We've got a couple of other movements to do in this position. So if you want to just Give yourself a little bit of a break, roll the wrists around, come onto the elbows if you need to. So coming back into this position, finding that stability within the shoulder. We're now going to take the knee up into almost a right angle position, so we want the foot to be parallel with the ceiling. So you may see in the gym people sort of doing this movement, the idea of getting their glutes nice and strong, but without the core activation, it's not really achieving very much. So the movement here is actually really small. So if you're working with your core engagement, your pelvic floor is active, just pushing that foot up towards the ceiling. It doesn't go very far, but you feel it working a lot more effectively. So you feel the glutes working really hard here. Exhale. So that glass of water is still intact. Let's do 4, 3, 2, 1. Bringing it down back to center. Let's take it onto the other side. So shifting the weight onto that supporting leg. Bringing the opposite leg up into that right angle position. Foot is flexed. Inhaling here. Let's pulse for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Last one. Let's do it. 1. Great stuff. Bring it back down to center. Back onto our heels. We've got one more movement in that position. Give the wrists a little bit of a roll around. Shake it out if you need to. So coming back onto the wrists or onto the elbows if you need to. I'm going to take the leg out to the side now. The only thing I can liken it to is a dog peeing on a lamppost. So inhaling here. As you exhale, we're going to just abduct that front leg out to the side to bring it back to center. So just staying on this one leg. Inhale. So you'll get a natural bit of rotation here within the pelvis. We're just trying to minimize that really by engaging the core and the pelvic floor. Let's do 4 more. 3. That's 2. And 1. Bring it back to center. We've just got 8 more on the other side and then we are done in this position. So big inhale, exhale. Let's take it out for 8, 7, 6, 5, keeping strong through those shoulders still. 2, 1, back to center. Brilliant stuff. Let's go sit back on the heels one last time. Taking a couple of breaths. Just taking a couple of moments just to reset. Coming now to lie on our tummies. Gently lowering yourself down. So similar sorts of movements here, but because we've got that contact between the pelvis and the mat, there's a little bit of difference. The challenges are slightly different. So again, just finding that neutral position with the pelvis, coming to rest in that neutral space. Your head can be resting on the back of your hand. So inhaling. As we exhale, we're going to lift one leg gently off the mat. Inhale, let's take it down. So let's just stay with one side for now. So just choose a leg. We'll just work with that one. So trying to build up a little bit of fatigue in the muscles as well. That's how we build our muscle memory and get a little bit stronger. So leading the movement here from the glute. So you want the bum muscles to be leading the movement. So we want the leg to be straight if possible, pointing through the toes. Let's do one more. So similar movement again. I'm going to inhale to lift the leg. As we exhale, I'm going to take the leg out to the side. Bring it back to center. Exhale it out. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do 3 more. That's 3. 2. Last one, bring it back, gently lowering it down. We'll give that leg a little bit of a rest now. Shift it over to the other side. Then just come and find that neutral position. Inhale to begin. As we exhale, let's lift that leg off the floor. So really long through the leg, pointing the toes towards the back of the room. Exhale. So trying to keep that contact between the hip bone and the mat here. So just working through the back of the glutes, so working in that extension within the leg. Let's do 3 more. That's 2 and 1. Gently lowering it down. Just give it a little bit of a shake. We're now going to take it out to the side. So inhale to lift. Exhale, taking it wide. Exhale, just doing 6 of these. So we've got 4 more to do. Ooh, nearly there. That's 3, 2, last one. Bringing it back to center. Just give the legs a little bit of a shake. So I'm now going to come back to our leg circles. So maybe a little bit of a smaller movement here because we've got the restriction of the mat beneath us. But let's give it a go. Just find a nice relaxed position for the upper body. Inhale, let's lift the leg off the floor again. The knee is straight, toes are pointed. Exhale, let's begin by circling that leg. Exhale. So again, just small, controlled circles. So you want to feel that it's working and that everything is sort of controlled and stable. Let's do 2 more. Take it back the other way. So working in both directions in the circumduction, keeping that length through the leg. Let's do 2 more. Gently lowering it down, starting now with the other leg. So let's inhale to lift. Exhale, let's take it round. Slow control circles. You may find one side is a little bit tighter than the other. It's absolutely fine, perfectly normal. Just working with what you've got. Let's take it over the other way. Hopefully you feel your bums are now on fire, that they're really started to work hard. Let's do 2 more. Gently lowering that down now. So we're going to do 1 more movement again in this position. If you find it's challenging on the lower back, you can come and sit back on the heels. We'll just take a little bit of a moment and come and join us when you can. So coming back into our flex position, foot is in line with the ceiling, parallel to the ceiling. Inhaling here as we exhale, let's pulse that foot towards the ceiling. So your hip is always working in opposition with itself, so the front half of the hip is pushed towards the mat, whereas the back half, the hip extensors, are pushing up towards the ceiling. So really strengthening those glute muscles. Let's do 3 more. That's 2 and 1. Gently lowering it down now. Let's take it over to the other side. So flexing through the knee and through the ankle. Inhaling as we prepare. Exhale, let's pulse it for 8. That's 7, 6, really squeezing those bums, keeping the hip pushed down into the mat. That's 3, 2, 1, and release. Just taking a moment to just relax, feel that pressure ease on the lower back. And when you're ready, we're going to come and lie on our side. So working each leg in isolation for a while, come and prop yourself up on your arm. And if you want to put something on your head, you can. We're going to start with the knees bent. We want the hip and the heels in line with the shoulder, so that straight line from top to bottom. Top hand can be on the hip or in front of you. So we want to glue the ankles together here. Lift it through the waist. And as we exhale, we're going to lift the top leg up towards the ceiling, leading with the knee. Inhale, so going into our plank. Exhale, so rotating here through the hip. So working through the abductor muscles in the side of the thigh. So really strengthening through the thigh, squeezing those glutes as well. So our bums are getting a really good workout today. Let's do 4, 3, couple more. So you can take it a little bit higher with each one whilst keeping that position within the pelvis. Bring it back to center. Doing the same thing again, but this time we're gluing the knees together and we're going to be lifting through the ankles. So inhale here, exhale, let's take the leg up. So pointing the toes now towards the ceiling. So external rotation within the hip, exhale. So abdominals are active here, so imagining that wall behind us. We don't want to roll backwards, we don't want to roll forward. So the abdominals are able to keep us stable. Let's do 2 more. And 1. Gently lowering it down. We're going to take the top leg long, so the bottom leg can go behind you, so the thighs are parallel, but the knee is bent, so you've got that anchor behind you. Just lengthening through the legs, so feel the hips come in line with each other, lengthening through the side of the body. Inhale, as we exhale, we'll lift the foot up towards the ceiling. I'll move up a little bit, I'm not sure you can see what my foot's doing. When we get to the top, we're going to flex the foot, so pulling the toes towards the shin, gently lowering it down on the inhale. Exhale. Inhale it down. Again, I was thinking about what the upper body is doing here as well. So everything is nice and active. We've got that imaginary wall behind us. So lots of control going on through the pelvis and the abdominals. Exhale. Let's do 2 more of these. When we come to the top now, we're going to flex the foot. Just going to pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently lower it down. Bring the leg forward. Give your hip a little bit of a rub if you need to. Taking that top leg long again, and I'm afraid we've got some more leg circles to contend with. So inhale here, lengthening through that leg. Let's circle the leg backwards. So again, just small, subtle movements. So the more you move the leg, the more tendency the hips have to move around with it. So keeping the circle small and controlled allows everything to stay where it should be. And as you build that confidence with the movement, you can take it a little bit bigger. Let's bring it back to center now. Inhale here, let's take it the other way. Keeping that length through the leg, lifting through the waist and shoulders. Keeping the upper body active, abdominals here are working still. Let's do 3 more. Bring it back to center, bring that top leg forward, just give it a little bit of a rub. Let's flip it over now onto the other side. Then we'll come and lay down on our backs. And we're nearly there, we're getting through it. Let's come to rest on that forearm. So starting with our knees bent, shoulder, hip and ankles are in line with each other, lifted through the waist, top hand can be on the hip or in front of you. So gluing the ankles together to start with. Let's exhale as we rotate that top hip, lifting the knee. Exhale. Let's take it up again. So being careful not to allow the hips to roll backwards, keeping that abdominal engagement, keeping the pelvic floor active. Let's do 2 more. Last one, really squeeze that bum, bring it back to center. Taking that top leg long now, bottom leg goes behind us. Again, the knee can be bent, working as that anchor. Let's point the toes long, lengthening through the side as the hips come into alignment, stacked one on top of the other. Inhale here, exhale, let's take that leg up. As we get to the top, we're flexing that foot, bringing it down on the inhale. Exhale it up. So leading the movement with the toes we go up, with the heel as we come down, noticing that length that brings through the back of the leg. Let's do 3 more. That's 2. And on our last one, we're going to come up to the top, flex that foot and pulse for 5, 4, 3, 2. Really squeeze those bums. 1, last one. Let's bring it back down to center. Give your bum a little bit of a rub. Last set now. Let's do those leg circles. Taking that top leg long. Just find your balance. Top hand can be where it wants to be, lengthening again through the side. Inhaling here, exhale, let's begin to circle the leg forward. So drawing those little circles with the big toe. Just controlling that movement through the hip. You may find one hip's a little bit easier to work with than the other. So just coming back, we're squeezing that bum, bringing it forward. Let's do 2 more. Inhale here, taking it back the other way. Keeping lifted through the shoulders and through the waist. We're nearly there. It's quite a tough one today, so you're doing brilliantly bearing with me. Let's do 2 more. Back to center, bring the knees together, give yourself a little bit of a rub, rest the head down as well if you need to. Brilliant stuff, well done. We've got a couple of movements to do on our backs and do a couple of stretches, and then we'll come into our relaxation. So we're nearly there. Okay. So going to lie on our backs. We're going to bring the legs into a tabletop position. So bringing one leg up first, bringing the other leg up to join it. So we've come now into our imprint spine. So imagining a marble in the small of your back. You're trying to crush it now against the mat. So you want to try to keep that contact. So we're going to start just by flexing the feet. So just activating through the backs of the legs. Hands can be by your side as an anchor. So we're just going to start by finding our boundary. So we want to keep our abdominals sort of active to prevent our back from moving with our hips. So it's just isolating through our hip. So inhaling here. So exhale, I'm just going to push the feet away from us, just to a point where you can control it. So we don't want this to happen. We want to feel the abdominals working nice and hard. Inhale, we're going to bring it back. So almost as if you're trying to push against something, push something away with the feet. But moving that move, starting that movement from the core. So let's push that away one more time. So just a really subtle movement here, but if you notice when movements come from the core, how much more sort of controlled they are. Bring it back to center. So using that basis, we're going to point the toes now. And we take one leg down at a time. So inhaling here, exhale, let's lengthen one leg. So just bring it to a point where you can control it and bring it back. Let's take it the opposite side. Exhale. Taking it long, so lengthening through the toe, keeping that position within the pelvis, abdominals are active. Exhale, do 2 more on each side. So gently transitioning from side to side, just going at your own pace. Last one, lengthening through the toes, bringing it back to center. Gently lowering the feet down now, taking it down one at a time. So we want to come now into our neutral spine, so just tilting the pelvis backwards and forward, remembering that bowl of water, coming to rest in that midway point. Hands can rest by the side. So taking one leg long, we've got another set of leg circles, last set. So let's inhale here. So again, remembering that principle of keeping everything here really stable. So working from the core, let's circle that leg outwards. Inhale as we come up, exhale, take it round. So if you find you've got that stability in the pelvis, you can take the movement a little bit bigger. If you find that your pelvis is rocking, just bring those circles down, slow the movement down as well. Bring it back to center now, let's take it round the other way. Not forgetting to breathe, so breathing in as we come to the top, exhale as we take it round. Let's do 3 more. Gently lowering that leg down now, let's lengthen the other leg, so pointing the toes, finding that nice stability within the pelvis. Inhale here, exhale, let's circle that leg outwards. So our hips should be nice and lubricated now, nice and healthy. So really good to keep the full range of movement within our hips. So just doing these sorts of movements, you know, once a day or a full class of a couple of times a week is really, really good for keeping that mobility. Let's bring it back to center. Exhale it round the other way. Oh, but your leg feels heavy now. Mine's starting to feel heavy as well. So moving the full sort of length of the leg within this position is quite tricky. Let's bring it back to center. Gently lowering it down. Well done. Let's bring one knee into the chest. Just feel that nice release through the thigh and through the hips. Taking the leg a little bit longer now, so holding behind the ankle, just pulling that leg towards you, feel that stretch through the hamstrings. Starting to breathe normally now as well, so coming back to your natural breath, so starting to wind the body down a little bit. Bring the knee back into the chest. I'm going to take the knee wide, so rotating it externally, so just opening up through the hip. Feel that nice stretch through the inside of the thigh. Bringing it back to center. Now I'm going to take the leg over the body, so taking it to the opposite side. So rotating now through the spine, turning the head in the opposite direction, so you've got that diagonal stretch through the side of the body. Just breathing gently here, just enjoying this stretch, enjoying this release through the spine. Bringing it now back to center. Let's drop that leg down. Bringing the opposite knee towards the chest, so just holding under the knee. So try to avoid holding onto the joint. Pulling that knee into the chest. Taking the leg a little bit longer now, holding behind the shin, just feel that stretch through the hamstring. Just enjoying that nice release down the back of the leg. It's worked really hard for this last hour. Dropping the leg down, taking the hip wide, so taking the knee out to the side. Gently bringing it back to center now, crossing it over the body, over to the opposite side, turning the head the opposite way. So rotating the spine in the opposite direction. Just enjoy this nice release. Bringing it back to center. So our last stretch, keeping the knees bent. Going to take one ankle, cross it over the opposite knee. So you've got this upside down triangle between the legs. You may feel that that's enough of a stretch, so opening out through the hip and into the glute here. If you want to stretch a little bit deeper, we're going to lift that bottom foot, so feeling more of a stretch into the glute on this top leg. Just breathe into it. So with every exhale, you may be able to take it in a little bit further. Gently lower that down, lowering that top leg. So let's take the opposite leg over that bottom knee now. Find that upside down triangle. Open out through the hip. That might be enough of a stretch. If not, let's lift that bottom leg. Feel a stretch through the glute on that top leg. Again, just breathing into it. Gently lowering it down. Bringing the soles of the feet together, just allowing the knees to open. That nice release, that nice stretch through the hip flexors, through the insides of the thighs. Inhale, let's bring it back to center. If you want to stay with me for 5 minutes or so of relaxation, you can stay in this position, put on any extra layers you may need, or if you prefer, you can come up to seated. I'll just give you a few moments to get yourself where you want to be. So just coming to rest in your chosen position. Just finding that place of comfort for 5 minutes or so. Gently closing the eyes. Bringing your attention to the space around you. Just noticing any sounds, any sensations. Just allowing them to be. Noticing the rise and fall of the breath. Just noticing how the body begins to relax with each exhale. Starting now at the top of the head, gently scanning down to notice any areas of tension or discomfort. Gently moving down to the face, allowing the cheeks and the brow to soften, allowing the jaw to fall open. Feeling the weight of the shoulders on the mat beneath you. Just letting go of any tension, any discomfort as you exhale. Feeling the weight of the arms and the hands as they begin to relax. Moving your attention now down towards the hips, towards the buttocks. Exhaling away any tension, allowing the surface beneath you to take the weight. Moving any tension melt away into the mat beneath you. Scanning down now through the legs. Letting go of any remaining tension. Allowing the knees to drop. Allowing the calves to soften. Relaxing now through the ankles, through the feet. Allowing any remaining tension to lead through the soles of the feet. Bringing the attention now back to the breath. Noticing the rise and fall. Starting to breathe a little bit deeper as you gently begin to mobilize through the neck. Wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, maybe start to circle through the ankles. Gently opening the eyes, bringing yourself back into your surroundings. Gently coming back up to seated, nice and slowly. Inhale the arms overhead, so starting to fill the lungs with fresh oxygen. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, starting to bring some life back into our muscles. Exhale. Inhale, bring it up. Let's bring the palms together, gently lowering it down. Thank you all very much once again for joining me. That was a tough session, so well done for sticking it out. Hopefully you can join me on Sunday or again on Thursday next week. Again, thank you for everybody's donations. If you would like to leave me a review on Facebook, that would be very much appreciated. And hope you have fun. I did, so thank you very much. Bye.